podcast where we embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. I'm your host, Christy, and alongside me is my co-host, Jen. And today we have the pleasure of having a rising star in the spiritual practitioner field as our guest. Please join us as we welcome in Tamara, whose unique insights and expertise in shadow tarot, I want to know more about that, crystal healing and intuitive healing are making a profound impact on many lives. Tamara's personal journey of awakening and growth as a mother and spiritual practitioner is truly inspiring. Welcome, Tamara.
Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Christy. It's an honor to have you with us, Tamara. We're excited to dive into your journey and explore the incredible modalities that you've offered to support others on their awakening paths. So, Tamara, could you share with us and our audience just a bit about your background and what inspired you to venture into the spiritual practitioner field?
I'm a mother. I have 3 young boys, and that's kind of my background. For a long time, I just was a mum. I just, was a mum. And then I really wanted to be more than just a mum. I wanted to have another identity, who I was as myself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it led me to start to think of like, what were the aspects or the things that I loved in the younger versions of me, or what did I identify myself as? And I went back to when I was a teenager. And I had tarot cards, and I had spell books and palmistry books and just all of these. And being that teenager that going through teenage issues would sit in my room and go, okay, how do I deal with this bullying at school? How do I work with this? And then pulling out my tarot cards and getting the answers. So it was through that was actually, I loved being able to do that for myself. And knowing, even when I was in high school, I befriended a girl who, was just, girls are terrible at high school, and she lost all of her friends through them, just being girls and just deciding that for 3 weeks they hated her, sort of thing. But me befriending her sleeping over, and me doing, let's do a little freezer spell where we put them in the freezer and we freeze their bullying out. And then within a week, them befriending her again, and just me going, wow, okay, I really helped her. And then as I was that mother going, where do I go from here? Who am I when I'm not a mother? I really started to realize that, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to help people in ways that they can't say they can help themselves.
I love that. I think a lot of our listeners can identify with this, because we do, I think part of the awakening is realizing that being a mother is just a role that we play in life, right? It's not actually who we are, but who were we before we were a mother? We were a daughter or an employee or a boss maybe, or, the teenage rat bag, or like that. Again, they're just like all these identities.
Yeah.
So I think, I really feel like there's a lot of value here for people today. And there's something that you mentioned, which was tarot. I'm curious how, because it feels like it played a significant role in triggering and supporting your own spiritual awakening. Can you share with us how tarot guided you on your path to self-discovery, especially during challenging times in your life?
So when I started to do, because I did tarot lessons, so when those tarot lessons started was actually in a very difficult time. I was actually going through a process of realizing the toxicity and the drama that I was carrying around my mother. And what tarot really did was it gave me a safe space to really step away from what I was dealing with my mother on the physical, emotional sense, but then really delve in to ask, why was I responding this way, and what messages, what was actually being triggered within me from these confrontations with my mom and like that. And it really just I was suffering with anxiety at that time. I was on anxiety medication, and even in that, because having confrontations with your mum, you're not meant to. Mums are meant to feel safe, and then that gets my mind spiraling. But when I was doing tarot, I was safe and I was calm, and I was given a tool that I had within myself that I didn't know I had, to be able to step out of that situation and look spiritually at it and say, what do I need to be able to work through this? And those tarot cards helped me to identify those things.
Yeah, beautiful. So they were a tool to really sort of help you understand what was going on and maybe even give you a bit of guidance in how to move forward. Yeah. And that was probably what gave you that safety. And would you also say that tarot, because I know tarot, I do oracle because I'm a bit rebellious, and I know that tarot is very structured, but I do get the sense that, because you don't need to be psychic to read tarot, but you can bring your psychic abilities in to read tarot and then also add that intuitive aspect to it, correct?
Yeah.
Were you adding that intuitive aspect? Like, did you feel like you were connecting to divinity in some sort of sense at that stage?
At first, now in hindsight and reflection, yes, I was. But at the time, it wasn't something I'd understood yet. It was still, as I was learning tarot, I was learning to understand what that connection was and different ways that my body was sending me the signals. Because I thought that to be psychic, you had to see the images all the time.
Right.
I didn't realize that I could feel them and I could hear them without realizing that I was hearing them. And so, yes, in hindsight, it was helping me get connected, and I was really already reading them in that way, but it wasn't something I had learned to understand at that point.
Yeah, because the safety, the reason I asked that question is because that safety aspect, when you basically, it sounds like you touched the tarot and you started shuffling and you felt safe.
Yeah.
And to me, it was almost like you were, when you did that, you completely immersed into spirit, like into that divine flow from God, source energy, the universe, whatever we want to call it. It was like, you know, and that, like when I feel into that, like every time I connect to that, I just feel love. Like that's all I feel through that energy. And it just sort of made me think, I wonder if that was what you were actually sensing and why you felt so safe as well.
It's interesting. I think one thing that I have always felt, because when I was learning tarot, it was always taught, like, make sure you protect your energy, make sure you're always, and there was just always something within me that, as soon as I touched the cards, I just instantly knew that I was protected.
Yeah, right. The trust.
I just had such a trust in them to bring me the truth and the wisdom that I needed, that I didn't have to doubt it. I think that's what it is.
I love that. I love that.
No, that's awesome. So it's amazing, how your journey has helped you embrace different modalities. Could you tell us a bit more about Shadow Tarot and how it's helped your clients understand the shifts and blocks that they're having?
Yeah.
So
I want to know about Shadow Tarot.
So Shadow Tarot was developed, I'm sure there are many other tarot readers who do Shadow Tarot but maybe don't call it Shadow Tarot, but it was just something for me that as I was going through my student phase, and I was doing lots of free readings and practices for people, I just started to realize, and I knew from the get-go, because I was using it to deal with my own internal struggles, that it could be used more for what most people use it for, which is fortune telling, which is guidance into what they should do and when they should do it. I started to realize, well, hold on a minute. Anyone can be told that they can get the dream job they want, and anyone can be told that they're going to fall in love, etc. But people aren't going to get the right job, or they're not going to get their dream relationship if they're not healed and aware of the things that are causing them to not take the dream job or to attract the wrong partner. So For me, it was about, okay, I can use tarot to say to them, well, yes, this job is going to come up for you, but you have this emotional block within you that is going to prevent you from seeing it as an opportunity or from being willing to take it. So let's dig out that shadow using these cards so that you can use that to become the version of you that needs to be prepared for that when it comes along.
I love that. I love that. I was just reflecting on a reading I did yesterday, and we did this reading and this person wanted to know about a relationship, and I spoke to the cards, I asked the question, and it came up that there's like this repetitive cycle, and you'll get another relationship really soon, but you're going to keep having these same relationships if you don't do the inner child work. There's wounding around you saving people, and we went really deep into saving the partners that were there. But what came out of it is, as a child, this person felt like they had to be the responsible one. They had to stand up and be the adult. And so it's like, go there first. That's what the cards, for you to get the right relationship, you need to go there first. So I love that you do this, because, I feel like you're right. Everyone wants to know about, when am I going to find my dream person? Like, there's healing that we've got to do before that dream person comes along. Otherwise, they'll just we'll go like this, because our energies are not ready. Like, they'll actually repel each other until that healing's done, right?
Yes.
So
I also
I
find that that's also quite similar when people come through and ask about fertility. They're blocking themselves a lot of the time. Not to say that they're causing it, but there's blocks there that they need to work through to help shift those medical and then, the blockages of energy that's there too.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So, Tamara, as someone who's relatively new in the spiritual practitioner, I love that you own that you are, right? How do you balance gaining experience while still inspiring and guiding others on their journey?
I think the gaining experience, a lot of that comes from from doing my own work. Experience comes from living it and doing it. So I love every opportunity I get to sit and work on myself. And if I'm at home by myself, for example, and the kids aren't home, I put on podcasts. I will sit with spiritual podcasts, and I will sit and I will listen, and I will learn, and I will cry, and I will note things down, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And I just want to immerse myself in it as often as possible. And I think that by doing that, I'm gaining that experience that I can then say to other people, look, I've got the experience because I've lived it.
Yeah.
So how can I help you through your experience?
Beautiful.
So crystal healing and intuitive healing are two modalities that are absolutely awesome. So how do you feel these practices complement each other in supporting clients with their growth and their healing?
Okay, so crystal healing is, I think it's a very complementary service in the sense of some people aren't aware of what they need to work on or how to start the journey. So with a crystal healing, it's not, a lot of people that I've come across haven't really heard of crystal healing as a healing modality. They've heard of Reiki, they've heard of massage even, and they know that unlocks trauma and stress in the body.
Yeah.
But crystal healing works very much in the same way. So when I do my healings, I like to work with the chakras, because if one chakra is blocked or overactive, then it messes up the whole flow within the body. But because we store trauma and beliefs in our body, being able to use the crystals to locate where those imbalances and blocks are actually helps to shift it for people without them even realizing what they need to shift. And so as it starts to shift, it's a gentle version, I think, and it just gently brings it to the surface. For people to just slowly integrate and realize that these little changes are being made, or their awareness is being drawn to things that they weren't aware of.
So how does that, like, how do you do that? I know with Reiki you lay down and, you use your hands. So do you get them to lay down and do you put the crystals over certain parts and it tells you, or how does that work?
Yes. So I actually have my special healing pendulum, which was one back when I started my tarot journey. I saw in a shop and I was just like, I love that. And for about 3 weeks, I love that pendulum. And I had no idea why, but I bought it and I held on to it. It wouldn't work as a normal dowsing pendulum. And it wasn't until I started playing around with crystals and asking it, over crystals and stuff, that it started to work for me. So it works in a similar way as Reiki. You'll come in, you lay on the bed, and then I actually use my pendulum and I'll hover it over the chakra points, and it will show me the state of a person's chakra, whether it's blocked, whether it's got a good flow, or whether it's overactive. And then from that, the pendulum will then read what the energy is that the chakra needs, and then I will go to my healing crystal selection, and the pendulum will show me which crystal is actually needed for that specific energy point. And so I will lay that then over the energy point. In saying that, I also understand that there are people who don't like contact. So if that's the case, then I lay the crystals around them in the closest point to those energy points, because I want people to feel safe and relaxed and able to just let the energy flow.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's pretty much the process. And then as they've got all the crystals over their body, and then I will kind of ask my pendulum where else needs focus. So I notice a lot of women will need extras around their shoulders. Carry the weight of the
world around their shoulders.
They need to shift that, and especially the stuff that's not theirs. It needs to come away. And it's very interesting because I have so many women sit up afterwards and they're all like, in their little Zen worlds, and they'll go, I just felt the weight lift off my shoulders when you did that. It was amazing. I didn't even realize, sort of things. So it's really, really good in more than one way.
Yeah, beautiful.
And do you find also, sorry, Christy.
Go.
Do you find also that the root chakra with women, a lot of women can be quite blocked?
No, the root one for some, but the one I actually find the most is the solar plexus. That is the self-confidence, the personal power, the owning who they are. That is the one that generally is the hardest to work with, the hardest and the most.
They lack trust in themselves.
Yes. But it's quite amazing, like, especially the ones that carry that around. Once that's unblocked for them and they've got good energy, it's like a whole new person in the next week. They're starting their dream businesses, and they're just like, I was holding myself back. Nothing else was.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
That's amazing. I've got a question about crystals. Something that has kind of taken the world by storm over the last few years is moldavite. We were having this conversation earlier, and I've got my opinion on moldavite, and I wonder, I'm curious what yours is. Like, I get the sense that with moldavite, people get moldavite now because they want this massive transformation in their life. They're not overly specific in what they're asking for when they call upon the crystal, and they just transform my life. So the energy whips in there and kicks their ass so hard, and it's like people are like, oh my god, I just had that moldavite experience, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. And I'm like, how intentional were you? Like, of course, if you're asking for complete transformation, it's going to come and burn your world down. Like, you're going to have a massive tower moment. What's your how does moldavite fit into what you do, and what do you experience with moldavite?
I haven't even touched moldavite yet. I have not, because it is such a potent stone to work with that you're right. So many people have gotten it because it's become a trendy crystal to have, and they know that it brings transformation, but they aren't ready for the level of transformation that it can bring.
No.
So right. I know someone who bought some for the following the trend kind of thing. And when I saw her after she bought it, she goes, that stuff, I literally threw my crystal into the walk-in wardrobe and shut the doors. I don't ever want to see it again, sort of thing. She was not prepared for what it was going to bring up for her. So I think Moldavite, is something that if you're really, really, really willing to look at yourself clearly, and you've got the willingness, the intention, but also the safe space to really work with it, because I don't think that if you're going to do that really big transformative work, especially with crystals, because as soon as that crystal's in your house, that energy is emanating, so it's always around you. So if the space that it's in even is not a productive space for that energy, there's other crystals that you can use for transformation, which are much gentler,
maybe more gentle,
and good stepping stones to get there.
I think too with like shadow, because really transformation means shadow work, like you need to, and it's going to bring the shadow to the surface really quickly. I think it's important, we had another discussion yesterday, just really briefly about shadow work, and I just sort of, because I do shadow work and I actually teach this, but I've never really not understood it, but I've never really heard it explained this way. We do, first of all, need to want to be radically responsible for ourselves and, our world and our choices. And the next level of that is like the willingness to actually see what comes to the surface, the openness to sort of see it, right? And also the willingness to take action. And if you don't have any of that, even if you're missing one of them, it is going to massively kick your ass, because it's not something you'll be able to turn away from. Like, my understanding is that it will literally, like, your world will burn to the ground around you, right? Because you want that transformation, and the foundations need to start and be set, I suppose, from the ground up. You can't build new foundation on broken, wobbly ones. The other thing, that I'm a huge believer in is intuition. Not intuition, well, I believe in intuition, but like intention, right? If you have nothing but intention is all you need. So if you're going to get Moldavite, don't be stupid and not have a really specific intention. Like, I want transformation and be really particular about what that is, but I want it to be a gentle process. Like, my intention is that it is gentle. And most people I know, it's kicked their asses, but a couple of people that have set really specific intentions and asked for the process to be gentle, it has. They're like, I don't even know what everyone's on about. Like, it did bring stuff up for me, but it was really gentle. So
it could be that they were more prepared to do the work, though. So for them, and if they've already done some of the work, we know that even doing small increments of shadow work can kick your butt at some stage.
Absolutely.
And so if they've already done some, then when it comes to the next level, it's like, I kind of knew what to expect already, so it wasn't as bad as what I thought it would be.
Totally.
But I guess another thing for people who are choosing to work with Moldavite, who maybe aren't quite as ready, you could always look into some complementary crystals to go along with the work. So you can.
And what would you recommend?
I would always say rose quartz is good, because rose quartz is a compassion, it's a love, it's an understanding stone. And when you are healing, you need to have love and compassion for yourself, but also for the situations, the people, the places, the things that you need to heal from. So having, rose quartz, and otherwise, if you wanted something a little bit more potent on that support, I would say kunzite.
Oh, which one?
Kunzite.
Oh, what color is that?
Pink.
Okay, is that like the bright pink one?
Yeah, it comes in variances, but
Yeah.
yes, it's almost quite similar to rose quartz,
Yeah.
but you can get it with a slight hint of like a purple or a blue to it as well.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
I think
generally,
I might have seen a blue one.
yeah. So it
Yeah.
comes in the different variances, but that one's a little bit more potent, I guess. Like it's got a bit of a stronger vibration. So if you're looking to level it up a little bit more, then that would probably be a good support. And otherwise, Botswana agate for me is a favorite.
Ooh,
Wow.
what colour is that? That sounds interesting.
Well, it's because it's an agate, it's a little bit more grounding. But once again, it's like got the beautiful brown earthy tones that give you that kind of grounding, but it's also got beautiful like light pink and white banding through it, so it's still got that really gentle. It actually makes me feel like it's a mother stone, like, you know, the nurturing of a mum's hug, like that safe. So Botswana agate really has that kind of that safe, warm hug feeling to it. So I would suggest that if you're going to try moldavite, maybe having some nice nurturing and
something to hold the space and sort of bring a bit of love and holding. Yeah, beautiful. I love that idea. Alrighty. So you've got some upcoming workshops that I want to talk about. Rewrite your money mindset.
Yes.
Pendulum with purpose. Sounds intriguing. Can you give us a little sneak peek into what participants might expect to gain from these workshops?
So the rewrite your money mindset, that has been something that I have been personally working on. Growing up, I had a very poor upbringing. As you know, scraping behind the lounge cushions for money for loaves of bread to eat, sort of thing. And you know, and it was something that I realized, and this is where I love, you know, just the ability to self-reflect and to look at my own shadows and stuff, was that I was actually still, as an adult, even though living my dream job and we've got a beautiful house and everything we could possibly need, still living in scarcity and fear mindset. And it was something that I just woke up and I was like, I will not repeat this pattern for my children. I will not let them. So the rewrite your money mindset came from all of the exercises, the tools, the personal lessons, and the shifts that I have made within myself and my life to break free of those mindsets. And within like 3 months of just doing that work for myself, I manifested 5 holidays.
Wow.
5 holidays. And you know, like even 3 or 4 months prior to that, my mindset had been
holiday abundance. I didn't even know holiday wasn't abundant.
My husband, he's a contractor. So if he takes time off work, we don't get paid. I work for myself. If I take time off work, I don't get paid. So we'll never have holidays because we always have to plan twice as hard as, you know, other people to have. So I had, you know, 3 or 4 months prior to doing the work, I was just like, oh, you know what? We're just never going to have holidays. Like, and that's just what we've chosen. And then as I started to do this, I was just like, no, I deserve holidays. We deserve holidays. We work just as hard, if not harder than other people. We deserve this abundance of holidays and experiences, and our kids deserve it. So so that's what that one is. That's a lot of just really like me. This is what I've done as a mother in these, you know, limiting
beliefs
to create this beautiful life of abundance. And like, heck, I'm having 5 holidays this year. So
that's amazing. I love that.
So there's that one. And then the pendulum with a purpose is, once again, because when I was a teenager, I had a pendulum, and I didn't really understand the safe practice of it, in the sense of, yay, that it is.
I've got 2 here.
So you have to be in the right energy to be working with it and stuff like that. So I just, as a teenager, was just open, woohoo, let's, you know, get this thing out and watch it spin around. And but as I started to discover that there was more that pendulums can do other than just, your yes, no kind of dowsing answer, and that, I can use them for healing, and I can use them for locating missing items, and I can locate them for telling me about my health and energy levels and all of that. I thought, wow, okay, there are so many people who have pendulums who probably aren't aware of all of these other uses.
Yeah.
So this workshop is basically just come along. I'm going to show you how to intuitively pick the pendulum to suit what you're needing, learn how to care for it, and especially if they're crystal ones, you treat them like they're crystals. So how do we cleanse it? How do we charge it? How do we work with its energies? And then it's just some kind of interactive practices and just getting to know the pendulum and all the ways they can be used.
I love that. I love that.
And let's not forget about tarot and tea and tarot introductory workshop. That sounds like a vibe, by the way. Can you share with us a bit more about what they will expect going through that what the participants will expect with that experience?
So I would say the tea and tarot one is probably the most the one with the most information load to take, because as we know, tarot is a very complex tool that you learn tarot for your whole life. It always changes. There's always new things to learn from it. But this one is, I actually get some teas from another Australian business and beautiful teapots out. We get our tarot cards out. We talk about we talk about, creating the space to get you in the right mindset to actually read tarot and what goes into that. I run them through a energy protection meditation so that they know that their energy is protected and they're not going to invite in any low vibration energies to join them for their readings. And then we actually go through and we look at the Fool's Journey. So I don't know if you guys have heard of the Fool's Journey, but someone has written a story, because really tarot is a story in a sense. You're piecing together a person's story. So the Fool's Journey looks at the major arcana and how the Fool, he is zero. He is the beginning or the end, really, but this is the beginning of his journey. And he's a baby, he doesn't have life skills. He hasn't got relationship experience. He's got none of this. And we look at that and how he goes through and meets all of these other tarot cards. So he meets the Magician. What does the Magician bring to his life? What does the Magician represent as a major life, event for us? So we go through that to really help people understand what the influence is of these cards as events in our lives and things like that. And then we touch on all of the minor arcana and the court cards. And because there's so much, there's so much information to try and hold. So we then just look at the very, a simplified version of what does each of these cards represent. And then they all get a simple 3-card spread that they can pull on the day so that we can start to already get the knowledge flowing and the connection to the intuition and the confidence to say, okay, yeah, this actually makes sense to my story. But with that, it's a little journaling one. So they will write down what their initial feelings are about their reading, what their interpretation was. And then at the end of the day, they come back and they reflect, did I interpret it correctly? Because sometimes we can have a miscommunication of what I'm seeing, but versus what happens. They can be the same thing, but miscommunicated. I don't know if there's me miscommunicating.
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Beautiful.
So that's basically that one. It's quite fun. There's lots of talking. There's lots of flashing of tarot cards for the day. And I encourage anyone to bring whatever tarot deck.
So that one's in person, yeah?
Yeah.
That workshop?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. Just going back to the crystal, you mentioned something which I think will probably be really helpful to some of our listeners is going back to the pendulum And if we have crystal pendulums, you mentioned about cleansing and like clearing and charging their energies. So how would one cleanse and charge a crystal? What's the difference?
Okay, so cleansing is, think about it, as our body. What do we do when we cleanse our body? We remove the ick from us.
Yeah.
We have the shower. We do whatever makes us feel clean. And what do we do to recharge? Well, charging is putting energy back into us. It's bringing our energy levels back up. So when you're cleansing your crystal, you are removing the low vibrations and the negative energies, or the energies that don't serve a positive purpose to that crystal. So you're removing those. So the most common way that people would cleanse would generally be sage.
Yeah. Okay.
Sage smoke. If you don't have sage or you don't like the smell of sage, you can just light an incense even, and I would hold it over the smoke for, depending on how long it's been since the last cleansing and how intense the work has been that you've done it, I would hold it there for a good couple of minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then charging is to re-energize it. So depending on the crystal, there's a few ways. You can actually put them on a bar of selenite. Selenite is good. It actually cleanses and charges at the same time. Yes. It actually cleanses and charges at the same time. So you get both of them done in one go. I would put it on the selenite for about 4 hours, though.
What about, because I thought does amethyst do the same?
Yes. So if you've got like the geo, the cluster kind of thing, yes, you can cleanse and charge. The problem with the amethyst versus the selenite is the amethyst itself will need to then be cleansed and charged.
Yeah, got it.
Whereas selenite is self-cleansing, self-charging. There's only about 3 crystals.
Black tourmaline one? Because black tourmaline doesn't absorb energy.
It doesn't. See, I think it does absorb energy. For me, I feel like it does. I feel like it absorbs the energy, but it transmutes it and then pushes it back out as kind of cleansed energy. I always cleanse my tourmalines.
Yeah.
The ones that I don't cleanse is really my selenite, and if you have kyanite.
Oh, here's one I prepared earlier. I am a crystal whore, just a little bit.
So kyanite is a self-cleansing, self-charging, and it's actually quite interesting. Citrine is said to also be a charging and cleansing one. Okay. But citrine
they're in my money corners. I can't show you those.
Citrine is actually amethyst that's been exposed to long-term heat.
Oh wow, I did not know that. But that makes sense actually. Looking even just at the structure of the crystalline structure of both of them, they're identical. Really, they're just different colors.
Pretty much. So, and you can get a mix, which is not very common to get, which is called ametrine. So that is a mix of amethyst with citrine, and it's where
I have heard of that. I didn't. I think I've got some too. I didn't realize that was both of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a little tangent there, but yeah.
My black tourmaline, I dig a hole in the ground on a full moon, and I dig a hole in the ground and I bury it in the earth.
Yeah.
So it still goes out in the full moon, but it's just like to me. Well, someone told me to do that. I have no idea why, but when I do it, I just get the sense that it's discharging into the earth.
Well, it's the same when we stand on the earth with bare feet.
Right.
It grounds us, it re-energizes us. So it's actually doing the same. So that is another way that you can cleanse and charge your crystals. You can bury them.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And the moonlight or the sunlight.
Just speaking from experience, be careful with your clear quartz in the sunlight.
Yes. And
I've literally said something a light before by accident.
Yes. And also clear quartz, if it gets too hot too quickly, it will crack.
Yeah.
But also some of your crystals, like amethyst and rose quartz, if they are left in the sun for too long, they will fade.
Yes. They will, just like our clothes. Beautiful. Alrighty. So, your journey itself has been really beautifully documented on social media, which undoubtedly provides inspiration and authenticity to your clients and the people that follow you. How do you think sharing your journey and your experiences helps others on their path to self-discovery?
I think it helps people to realize that it can be done, and that, that it doesn't matter what age you are or what your circumstances are, that if one person can do it, so can someone else. And if you can have access to that person showing you and explaining how they've done it, for people who don't know how to start or what it may look or feel like, it can make them feel more prepared, possibly, or more aware of what it should or what it could look and feel like, or what steps they can take to actually do that for themselves.
Yeah, I love that. I know Jen and I, we share our journey more on TikTok than the other platforms, but we both like teach, I suppose, through our own experience. And I think it does help people realize they're not alone on this journey. And, you know, Jen and I have had our own hurdles, our own life challenges. And when we share that, people are like, oh my God, like it just, you know, it's not like we've always been this way. Like,
yeah,
you know, we're just like everyone else. The last thing I want people to do is pedestal me or any, like I'm the last person to pedestal anyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, for me, that intention is similar to yours. It's just to show people it can be done. Like, you're not alone. And, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. So as you work with women going through spiritual awakenings, what are the common challenges that they face, and how do you support them with finding them their true selves and purpose?
There's not really one common thing I find, because every woman is different and every experience that they've had is different. I guess the biggest thing that one of the things I actually did a post about it this morning that I'm seeing is a very common thing coming up for a lot of women lately is imposter syndrome. So how do I help women to kind of on their journey with those kind of things is it's one, letting them know that it's safe to do so.
Yeah.
And letting them know and helping them find within themselves the trust in themselves and also the worth in themselves.
Yeah.
Because I find that so many of these women just doubt how much potential and how much magic they have within them. So sometimes it's just as simple as like asking a question to them and just giving them time to just really think on that question that they ask themselves, to then go, oh my goodness, I've had that within me the whole time and I've just never looked properly.
Yeah, I love that. And just on that note, I've just heard like a little glimpse of something through what you shared earlier about, you know, when you connected, you know, at the beginning of your journey, when you connected with the tarot, you felt safety because you didn't have that. And I've noticed you use the word safety a lot, like in creating a safe space for women. So I do get the sense that, to me, creating a safe space for these people that you work with is paramount. Like it's, I just from the language and the way that it's cropped up through conversation, I get the sense that it's like your number one priority is creating a safe space for them.
Absolutely, because if you think about it, when we hold trauma or like old belief patterns and systems and stuff, so much of it is formulated from a place of feeling unsafe.
Yeah, totally.
So I want a space, and I say this to women who come in: take your shoes off, take it all, like just take the baggage off, feel at home, because so many of them don't know what home feels like. They don't know what the home in themselves feels like. They don't know what being at home in their own home feels like, sort of thing. So for me, that is a really, really big part of what I want to bring to the women that I meet and work with.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. So, you know, for our audience that are listening and watching this, they're all going through generally a spiritual awakening or have come out the other side, or maybe, you know, maybe they're in the midst of a dark night of the soul. What's one piece of advice that you would give them as they embark on this transformative, because it is a transformative journey? What would be the one key piece of advice that you would give them?
Oh, one piece of advice. Okay.
Like the one that kind of is over and above all else.
I would say that there is no right or wrong to your healing journey. And other people's opinions on your healing journey, who you were and who you are becoming, is none of your business.
Yes.
So don't let it stop you from embracing the full potential of who you truly are within.
Yeah, I love that. And I just want to reiterate that you just said, and I want to say the listeners heard this correctly, it is none of your business what anyone else thinks about your journey. It's none of your business. Let that land. Because that says more about them than it does about you. Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that.
Yep.
100%.
I love that.
It's amazing. So before we wrap up, how can our listeners find out more about you and your workshops and what you offer? And can you share your website and how they can join your mailing list?
Yes.
So it's all on my website. So my website is just www.pinktourmalinehealing.com. There is a contact form on there. So if you want to join the mailing list, just fill out that contact form at the bottom of the page and hit submit, and that'll come through to me. There is a services tab on there with all of my services and the book now button. So it's quite simple. You just click on through to what you want to book. And there's an events and workshops page there as well. So you can read about all the upcoming events, the information, pricing, purchase tickets, everything. Otherwise, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, also under Pink Tourmaline Healing.
Beautiful. I think Jen has just popped into the comments, and you know, when this podcast goes live, all of your links will be in the bottom of this podcast as well. We want to see you over on TikTok land.
I know, right?
Right.
Do you know what? I'm actually really resistant to technology.
Really?
To the point that this is what I use for my mobile phone communication.
I love it.
That was also one of my little awakenings. It was that, hold on a minute, how do I become more present and mindful in the moment?
Yeah.
I take away the ability to distract myself from it.
Yeah. Okay.
So when not having the phone in my hand, always being like, oh, I better take a photo of this, I better film this, oh, I'm bored, or this interaction's making me uncomfortable, I'll go to my phone to escape it.
Yeah.
I went back to an old people's phone and just am a little bit resistant to go back to embracing too much.
Maybe I can give you a little bit of inspiration, because I know over in that space we have amazing viewers over there, like people that, like, to me, this is where I found my jam. And because of the algorithm, we show up in the feeds of people. We don't have to be friends with them, they don't have to like us. Like, there's a for you feed there, and it is such a good algorithm that we show up in the feed of people that actually resonate with our teachings. And you have so much to offer the world, and the people and the lives that you would touch over there, I will absolutely tell you, hands down, it will far surpass where you're, like, what you're touching now. And I just I just think you've got so, like, the shadow pieces, the tarot, the crystal healing, like, that's the stuff that they're going to lap up over there. And yeah, I just think you've got a lot of value to add to the world. So I just wanted to pop that out there, a little bit of inspiration, and maybe intrigue, a little seed of hope to see you over there.
And if you need any help or any guidance, where you gals.
All right.
Yeah, we can certainly help you. I've got nearly 600,000 followers over in that space. So yeah, it's been a journey in itself.
Yeah, I bet it has.
Yeah, it has. So, you know, on that note, I just want to thank you so much, Tamara, for sharing your insights and your inspiration and your experiences with us today. Your dedication to empowering others on their spiritual journey is so inspiring.
Indeed. It has been an enlightening conversation, and we
Mm.
encourage all our listeners to visit Tamara's website and join her mailing list and stay updated on her workshops and her offerings.
Yeah. And, you know, if you are going through a spiritual awakening and seeking purpose and direction, remember that you're not alone on this journey. We'll be back with more empowering episodes featuring experts from various modalities from around the world. Until next time, keep elevating your spiritual awakening. Big love.
Big love. Stay curious.